This is going to be good. Okay, so let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to start with is ear training. And I said I'd begin with this, and I'm going to go on. This will be about 15 minutes in length, this teaching segment, because it's important and we don't have enough questions to fill the hour anyways, so I figured might as well make maximum use of the time. Right, so question, how do you begin to get into ear training? Now, the first thing is, it's important to know how to get notes on the fretboard. It's important to know how to get notes by singing them, so you don't need your guitar to use your ears. And it's also important to get notes in your mind. And I'm going to cover more on that in a few minutes. So, I was at a wedding there on Friday, and a ringtone went off at the wedding. And the ringtone went something like, do-do-do-do. And we're still waiting for the bride to come, and I was a bit bored. So I was like, I wonder what those notes are. And then I started to backwards engineer what the notes were without the guitar. So that's what I'm going to cover in this teaching segment. How if you hear a couple of notes, and we're going to start easy with 3 or 4 notes, that you could backwards engineer them on guitar. So the first thing is you need to find a note that, like, how do you say, is a note that you can sing on demand. And I don't know, are you familiar with perfect pitch? But that's where you can like sing notes, like where you can basically identify chords and songs and stuff by ear. And it's quite a, some people say you have it or you don't. But my teacher taught me, he said, listen, if you can get into the first note of Whiskey in the Jar, he said, that's a middle C. And if you can sing that on demand, you'll have a sudden pinpoint on the fretboard, a marker, that you can begin to find your way around from by using your ear. So here's an example. Here's Whiskey in the Jar. And hopefully I get this right. If I went, da, there, da. So that's the first thing. I'm done with the iPad. To find that note. Whiskey in the Jar, I think he picked it at the time because 1, it was a well-known song. 2, he knew I would have heard it quite a bit because I'd listened to Thin Lizzy. But even if you haven't listened to too much of them, that note just rings out so much. And I know a load of you here watching, you're of the same age group that like Thin Lizzy isn't out of the question that you listen to it a lot. So that was it. That was the first thing. You find your note. You find that middle C. Da, and that is up here on the fretboard. Right? Now, what happened then was basically sorry, I'm going to close that. What happened then was you find that note, but then you got to figure out how to scaffold notes around it. And that's where the major scale comes in. So if I went like this, and note with this as well, you don't need to be a singer. You don't need to make the note sound good. Like that, it will do, right? So those notes there that I just sang, that's the major scale coming from high to low. That'll be the next step. So step 1, listen to Whiskey in the Jar, just that first note only, over and over, and start testing yourself to see, can you sing it on demand, and then play the song. And if you can't, keep trying to find it and keep trying to match it, because it'll all stem from there. Then you would look up a C major scale, descending, that's the official word, and I can create an audio track of this in the community if you want. So now you're building those notes into your vocab, into pitching. And then the next thing is you begin to play the notes. So if I was going like this, okay, and I'll add in a tab in the community of this or on this video, like it's 8-7-5 on the E string. Then you move up string, you go 8-6-5, then 7-5, and what you do then is you basically spend a ton of time playing that and singing that before we do any ear training. Like, for example, you don't need, like, think of this, right? If I played this, sorry, if I played it being able to reach the guitar, don't it? Some of you, if you've heard that song enough, you'll know it's Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. And the only reason you know that is because you heard the song so much. It was everywhere. Radios, cars, Spotify, YouTube, it was everywhere. Ads. Like, but it's the repetition of the song that put it into the ears. And if you're looking at this going, I don't recognize that song, that's okay. But there's another song you'd recognize. The start of Bohemian Rhapsody would be another one. Now, the thing about this is on guitar, we've got, and probably went in hundreds of times, we've got to put those notes into our ears ourselves, because it's not going to be on the radio. It's not going to be on Spotify for us to listen to that scale. So we've got to do it ourselves. That's what you start to do. So you start to play the scale, descending, meaning coming from high to low. Then you go from low to high. Now, the next thing with that then is, the end in mind here is, at that wedding, I heard the ringtone go, do, 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 do. And in my head, I was like, da, da. And I was like, oh, that's, and I sang Whiskey in the Jar. Da. And I was like, oh, one of those notes is in the ringtone. So now there's 4 notes in that ringtone, and I had one of them just by processing on the Whiskey in the Jar note. And what happened then was, I began to think back through the scale. And this is where you've sang it, you've played it, but if you can begin at times, and I know, like, we've joked about air guitar at times, but if you can begin at times to, like, picture those scale notes, and make them in the air, so as you sing them now, you have finger movements. And I know you're looking going, but like, that wouldn't map on a guitar, but it's enough. It's enough for us to have taken notes from what we heard somewhere, to singing them, to having some like kinesthetic anchor, some way of knowing them. Because what you do then is, that ringtone that I heard in that church was right, the last 2 notes. That's the high note at the end of our scale. The other note, you can hear it sounds right next door to it. And it's by using that process that I began to suddenly go, okay, I can trace through, found those 2. And that was only after having played this, played that so much, right? So that's the first thing about it. It's the note, to get it working with that particular bunch. And I know you might be watching going, but what if the notes of that ringtone weren't, just so it didn't happen to not have been the same note as Whiskey in the Jar? Well, in that case, you can still picture the notes happening and still picture them on a fretboard and map them. And when you get home to play it, if it sounds lower or higher than what the ringtone was, you just move the shape up. So like if the ringtone, if I went home and I did this, I'd be like, the notes sound, it sounds relevant to each other. And you'd find it that way. So then that's the playing the scale, going up and down, and that's the repetition piece that I would say, like, that's one of the hardest things on guitar. Trusting the process, trusting the repetition, that you're repeating this, even though you can't see the end result of why you're doing it, because it seems that you're able to play it already. Let's get this. So you're repeating it, not to be able to play it, but to drill it into the ears so much. And you're doing it up and down the way. And then the next thing is, you would begin to just have fun with it. And the reason as well I'm using specific fingers on this, I'm definitely using these, is because I can air guitar the notes. Do, 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 do. Otherwise, if I'm sliding around trying to get notes, I don't know where I am now, you know, and you can hop between them. Then, of course, it would be brilliant if we could hear ringtones and just like play them instantly and stuff like that. But like, I'm kind of giving you a taster of the end result. And that ringtone could be a bit of a solo, it could be a part of a song, it could be anything, you know. But the way there is to begin with the note, begin with the scale, begin singing and playing the scale, even if you don't consider that you have much of a singing voice. But you got to make some vibration in your body to match the vibration of the notes. So when the vibration hits here of what you're listening to, solo, song, whatever, that you can begin to kind of feel as if it's like that it's similar. Then, with these notes, you would take 4 at a time and just start playing them and singing them. Do, 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 do. And then you'd mix them around. Do, 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 do. Maybe go do, 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 do. You're playing a couple of notes and you're singing them. Or you're singing a couple of notes from that scale only and you're playing them. Strengthening that connection between the singing and the playing. Because when you hear something in a song, you'll either have your guitar on you or you won't. If you have your guitar on you, this stuff gets even easier. But if you don't, that's where you've got to like sing the thing back to yourself, and then be singing up and down the scale, trying to find the notes of the thing that you're singing. Do 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 do. So you see if on the last two, then do 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 do. I'm matching the notes and I'm finding them. And if you had a pen and paper as well, this helps too, you know. And you might be watching this going, this has gone way too far down the rabbit hole for me. I'll rewatch it again, or I'll add this segment inside the community in our lesson hub, okay? But this is one of the ways for ear training. And then you're playing all the combinations of the notes. Do, 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 do. Or you could suddenly go do, 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 do. So see the way like you can sing stuff, then try and play it. And it's in that you're going to make a ton of mistakes, but it's in that process that you begin to link them in stronger. And then, in case you're watching going, I heard of these things called intervals. What about intervals? Well, intervals are the names given to the space that exists between two notes. Like, we can talk about notes on a fretboard in terms of distance and space with frets. But if I go do, do, and I say, how far apart are those notes? You can answer like, well, one's higher than the other, or they sound a good bit apart, or they sound kind of apart. But there's actual names for every gap that exists between two notes. And those two notes, it just so happens, if I went like this, those two notes are the gap between those two notes is the gap that's in the Star Wars theme. And the name on that gap, on that interval, is a perfect fifth. Now, I wouldn't get too caught up on the names of the intervals just yet, because that day in the church, I didn't go in my head go, oh, that's a minor whatever below the thing. Like I'd have to sit down and like get the things out. It was more to do with the fretboard and knowing how to play them between, right? But the advantage of the perfect fifth thing of the intervals names is if you can think of them as Star Wars or something like that, that if you hear those two gaps again and you go, that kind of sounds like Star Wars, the start of Star Wars. Well, you know on a guitar then that it will be played somewhere here, going to somewhere here. Because if I go here, right, but if I go up here, the gap between the notes is still a perfect fifth. Even though they're a lower bunch of notes, it's still the same gap. And you can hear it sound similar. Right, so that's a little bit of like a little dip into some ear training there. I am curious, how are we doing? Who has left? Who's going? What the hell is going on? But that's the first step, okay? So whiskey in the jar note, C major scale in that position, using those fingers, play it up and down, sing with it, then start breaking the notes 3 or 4 apart at a time. The ones next door to each other, start singing them and start testing yourself by playing some, singing it back, then playing others and playing them back. And I just had an idea. It would be really cool. Let me know if you're on for this. If a bunch of you wanted to try this where you could make up some for each other and send them to each other. Nothing crazy like, but just a few notes and just see if the other person can figure out what the notes are and write back to you. So for example, I'll just say if Declan said, I'm just seeing names here, the Top Gun theme, class, there you go. If Declan sent one to Brendan and Declan had on his end gone, and then Brendan had to figure it out and see how many goes it would take him, you know. And this is where if you put a camera going on yourselves, you'd really get the in the moment thing rather than have 100 goes at it and get it perfect and then come back, you know. Alrighty, let's see how are we doing. I had the chat hidden in case I was getting distracted. Okay, hold on. So let me know if you have questions on that, folks. Let me know, I can just explain onto that a bit deeper. Who's in the house? Andy's in the house. All right. Yourself and Declan, perfect pitch. That's good. I hope you had a good time there during that. So, okay. Sorry. Okay, to clarify, the open mic. Nah, one song's good. Come with one song. We're fine. You know, because it's the first one, and we'll see how many can make the open mic. And one song is plenty, because we can open it out at the end if anybody wants to chat about how it was for them, or you just want to chat amongst yourselves after. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. How about baritone keys? Okay, question. No, Andy, as harsh and as ugly as that note, the high stuff sounds, trying to get it, just trying it all to get it, I do it. If it really isn't working, like I'm a baritone, and like it's just like dun, dun, it's really honky to sing it. Okay. From parrot, yeah, we had good fun lessons. I was teaching it today, Scott, and like I'd get students to, I'd give them the notes and I'd say play any of those notes, and we could rearrange them, have some fun. Okay. Okay, so right. Hopefully the temperature wasn't taken at the vet today. Okay, cool, Craig. That's spot on. Are they what you call scales, Dave? So that's the scale trace there. That's the major scale. So that's the major scale 1 octave, like the do re mi's. And then the intervals are the notes that, like, between any of the two notes, there's a name to be found or given to each sound gap that exists between the notes. So for example, this one, that's a major second, and that'd be happy birthday. You know, so when you hear, or Walking on the Moon by the Police, I like that one. that, you know, there's different ones. Alrighty, so let's keep it cracking. Okay, so a question came in from Declan about vocal processors, about like thoughts and my experience with them. Now, I have had a vocal processor, and I'm going to share this here. This is the one I had. This baby here. They have a 3 out now, but I had the 2. Okay. Oh no, one other person has it in their cart. No. Okay, so this is the one I had. So I'm just going to go. I did sell it. I sold it because 1, I wasn't using it, and 2, what was happening at gigs was I'd bring it to a gig, and the sound people didn't like it. They were saying there was like, they could, like, part of it was wrapped up in they couldn't control my sound so well. So like as an example, like if I hit on reverb myself, or if I hit on the delay myself, that can really change up the overall sound on stage. And if there's bleed, if there's any parts of mic or audio going anywhere else, it can really affect the overall sound. So I was disencouraged about bringing it to gigs, so I stopped. But quite quickly, I'm going to run you through a few things that it does. So reverb is the echoey sound, and like think some famous 80s songs, and like Whitney Houston. If you look up that song, "I Will Always Love You" by Whitney Houston, and look up vocals only, and you're going to hear a ton of reverb on her vocal. It just makes everything sound bigger, you know. But there's different types of reverbs, and this unit allows you different types, which is pretty cool. Then there's delay. Delay would be where after you sing your note, there'd be a bit more delay, and a ton of bands use this nowadays. Axl Rose uses it because if the delay after your vocals goes out, it thickens up your vocal. So even after you quit singing a note, if the delay is carrying it, it's going to keep on going. Modulator would be like chorus and phaser and stuff. Use that a very small amount. Think Muse. Do you know Matt Bellamy? Like, you know, Muse have some distorted vocals. I think I'm Feeling Good. Their cover of that has that. Harmony, that was my favorite one. You could set like a harmony to intelligently harmonize with you. So you could set it to key G. If you're doing Take It Easy, it would harmonize with you. It would literally sing a note. So if you sang here, the thing would automatically go and this. So it would sound like, and it would stick. If you sang up, it would track all the way along with you. And you could edit it too, where like it would be, you could edit it as well where it would be, it wouldn't harmonize so much, you know. And it came with a ton of fun presets. I remember that. The night I got it, I remember waiting in my room, and I think I was 3 hours singing. I was hoarse by the end, but like there was one like Bon Jovi, "Shot to the heart and you're to blame, give love a bad name." Like when you sang into the mic, it had this huge reverb, and it had like a ton of voices with you, and you sounded like a huge choir. It was class. Very empowering. But then you have the effects. Double would double the thickness on your vocal. I don't know, have you noticed, but some artists double up their vocals. They double track vocals, so their vocal sounds thicker on the record. And that's often why when artists sing live, in the olden days, that people would kind of be going, God, they don't sound the same live, you know, because of the double tracking. Then that was a good lot of it, but it was class. Like, it was really fun to use, really fun to use. And as the same advice I'd have with guitar effects, like I'd get a multi-effects to begin. You don't want to get one small pedal and be bored with the effect, and then have to buy another small pedal for vocals and be bored with that effect. And next thing you have 3 different vocals or 3 different power supplies. This thing did everything. It was class. It was so good. And there's a number 1 as well. Like there's a Voice Live 1 as well, and they've 3 is the latest one. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, any follow-up questions? Let me know. Next question came in from Brian, and is, what does coda mean? Now, for this, I just said I'd go here to Google Images while I be on the screen share. Rather than you see me try and write out music notation, coda is mostly used in music notation. So if I go here, okay. Now, you see here, you play from the beginning, left to right. So we're playing these notes. I'm in this bar, follow the mouse cursor, I'm in this bar, then I get to this bar. Now, do you see the way DC al coda is at the bottom? Well, that means da capo, which is I think it's Italian for the head, as in like you know, often used in, I think, mafia talk. Da capo, the head, al coda. So that means go back to the start, to the head of the piece, DC, then play to the coda. So you go here, then you skip, and you play the coda, right? So that's the purpose of coda, Brian. But it's generally used in sheet music. It isn't on ultimate guitar, as far as I know. But just one to watch. And that's the cool thing, like, yeah, just keep an eye on that one. Okay. Next question came in from Coleman. Coleman is wanting to know how to count in songs if you're playing them for a group. For example, could be a group of adults or a group of kids. And how do you count in a song to lead a group well, right? So there's a ton of different answers for this, but I'll go through a few, okay? Oh, and Declan, that thing is auto-tune as well. So the question about counting in a song to lead a group. I'd usually start with the last line of the song. And I generally, like, if I was doing Hound Dog, instead, you ain't never, and you ain't no friend of mine. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Like, that would be one example. I finish with the last line. Now, over the years, in the beginning, I used to play the chords themselves, like this. You ain't nothing but a hound. But it kind of, like, I always try and have a stop before the song. So the whole group is jolted wide awake to go, oh, this is the start, right? So what I did, Coleman, was I would like come up with intros, and it would take time, but it's worth it. So like I would go like, you ain't not, like even that little can work fairly well. Then if it was a slower song, like if I'll make one up here, Traveling Soldier, Dixie Chicks. 2 days. Okay, so I'd go like this. One, 2, 3, 4. 2 days. Right, okay, so I'm going to break down what happened there. So, whatever key we're in, I will play chord 1 or chord 4, chord 5, and then I basically, I basically cycle through the chords like there. Chord 5, chord 4, 1. 2 days. And then sometimes I play chord 5. Now, here's the thing. Whatever key you're playing this song in for the group, I would experiment yourself with the 1-4-5 thing at home. The only reason I can do these on the spot with the group now, regardless of song, is because I would have spent time at home making them up, going, what the hell will I play for this intro? And it was 1, 4, and 5, and then the length of them varied. Like Traveling Soldier, if I was going to go, 3, 4, 2 days. That's where I was on chord 4, like the C ahead of it. You know, it isn't as strong as the D. 2 days. You know, that'll be the thing. And then if I wanted to condition the group to be aware of exactly when we're starting, I would do the exact same intro all the time with the group. And sometimes it's a case of experimenting with that also. You might find some intros put the group off, some they need more of a count in, some they need less. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4 might be too much. 3, 4, and dun, dun. That can be enough to get them in. 3, 4, and put in and as well, so there's no doubt that, because once they start, they'll be fine. And then within those chords, the other thing you can do is with the styling of how you play it. Like, you can use bar chords, you can use open chords, you can use C add 9 instead of C. You can use, like, put the pinky on the bottom for the C. D7 instead of D. You know, so you're basically cycling through all these things. And a nice little exercise, get a blank piece of paper and at home say to yourself, if I was to create 3 intros for this song to lead in this group, what would it be? What would be an easy one? What would be a really cool, more advanced one that if I could do it and it didn't put them off, what would that look like? You know, use questions to guide what's going down on paper as well. And then sometimes I'll swap intros. Sometimes I'll like go between, like I've used the same intro from other things, you know. I have my classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed. That's been my Rudolph intro for the last 10 years, right? But you can be so sure that when a group, especially kids, because I know you'd mentioned like playing with large groups like that, like once they're whatever daydreaming's going on, they're out of it, right? They know it's Rudolph time. Okay, so hope that helps. But do you know what I do as a challenge to you, right? Come up with 3. Share the song in the community and come up with 3 intros and post a video of them. I'd love to see them, okay? And if you want to help craft 1 or 2, drop us a message, all right? But give it a go. It's the only way to learn it. It's the only way, because the playing the last line of the song is fine, but it gets old real fast over a longer period of time, you know? Yeah. Alrighty, so next question came in from Chris. How long does it take to get decent at guitar? Okay, so Chris, if you're still watching, just pop a thing in the chat here. We'll take a look. So, the key thing here is to be sure that you are getting decent at a core group of things. Because we'd say at the main parts of guitar, it could be anything with like bar chords, open chords, or whatever list of stuff that maybe you've looked up online that are listed as easy or beginner stuff, things like this, you know. So the key thing is, and I'll do it. I will do it. Give us 1 sec. This isn't by any means like a curriculum mystery out there in the world, but I'll just share the, here we go. Okay, we're good. So these will be the things, Chris, to sort, and I'm going to talk strictly about open chords because we could get into a bar chords discussion as well. But so this is, of course, you'd have to Google all these yourself, but this is the order. G chord, get the G, get your D to G, learn how to change chords fast, learn how to play D, D, G, A. Then it's about momentum, and then get your C chord, your E minor chord. Then that's your key of G done. Then you get a strum pattern. You need to take the stuff, like, it will take you far less longer to get quote unquote decent at guitar if you can follow a linear path for a specific amount of time with a milestone at the end that contains some songs for you to do and a strum pattern. So ideally you'd have A, D, and E. You'd have then G, E minor. You'd have C, and then B minor 7. And then your work goes into maintaining them and building up 3 to 5 songs using those chords. And the whole time, Chris, then you're getting your strum patterns, okay? Oh, Deli, you're still watching. Okay, cool. I'll check the chat in a few minutes. But will you let me know, are you that far? Do you have like A, C, D, E minor, G, E, or have you moved on to F and stuff? Just curious. All right, so, but that'll be the key thing, and get 3 to 5 strumming patterns as well. And your job isn't then to learn quote unquote new stuff in terms of new shapes or new strums. It's to take everything you have done and to make that decent, to make that usable in songs, and to finish songs, and to have, so for example, like if you were asked to play virtual open mic, that class, if you're asked to play virtual open mic, that you would go, I have a song, you know, that's, and then the motivators to get you out playing there would be the path, from what I'm seeing and from what I'm experimenting with, is that the first step is to play for yourself, like play something for yourself. The second step could be to play on a video for others that's pre-recorded, and that could be shared inside a community. That's what a lot of us do inside TSG. And then, or play for somebody at home. Could be partner, could be friend, could be pet. Okay, pets count. And but you're playing for somebody. There's a breathing, living being in the room, and they're watching you, and you're playing. And then it could, the next thing after that, that's video, that's one-to-one, that's one other person. Then it could be one-to-many in a small setting. That'll be one-to-many in a small group. Like, as an example, a few friends are around at your house, and you say, hey, might just play, I've one song, I might just play it for you if you care to listen for a few minutes. Or you're at somebody else's house and they hand you a guitar, and you do that, small group. Then the next thing is, you could be doing a larger group of friends, or playing more than one song to that group of friends, and that could be more like an intimate, and this where it gets really optional, like, you know, like there's open mic, like we're having a virtual open mic next week inside TSG. That will feel different than recording yourself on video. It's quite similar, but it's going to feel different. And then we have the playing an open mic in a uncontrolled environment, i.e. someone else's open mic. And then we have like stuff as far as playing musicals and gigs. You know, that's the whole spectrum of places you can play. All right, Brendan, see you soon. Hope the gym's going well. Tell them I was asking for them. So that's it, Chris, there in a nutshell. Get the basics, get using the chords, get learning a couple of songs with the chords, a couple of strum patterns. Then where you play the stuff, that's your whole spectrum of options, you know, and each of them is another step out of the comfort zone. All right, cool. Any follow-up questions, drop me a comment. All right, are you in the free community, Chris? If you are, just drop me a DM. All right, I need to get in there a bit more to see how everything's going, but I'm in our school of guitar paid one every day. But okay, that's cool. That was a good question. Okay, I am going to answer a question that came in around how to master bar chords. Okay, so question from Craig about mastering bar chords. The key thing with bar chords is you want to pick one shape and get that used with open chords. I'm not going to go through a whole spectrum of bar chord mastery here tonight, but I'm going to just say where many fall down. So like the first thing is get a G major bar chord. Okay, so Craig, you'd get that and get using that with E minor, C and D. Do you see the way, like, that's your job? It's one bar chord and just get using it with open chords. And then what you want to do is get a B minor bar chord. That's the most usable one next, and you get using that with A and E. Okay, wicked game, Chris Isaac. What a wind. All right, great song to sing with the cold. That's a baritone one, Andy. Right, so that's the other thing then, Craig. It's like B minor, get that with those, and you then keep your G maintained with the other ones. And then, if you're stepping into the territory, you're going, well, I have both those shapes, and I want to learn the rest of my bar chords. I'm going to go here quick in a flash, right? So watch, we have, let's do one thing. So, I would practice Lonely Boy by the Black Keys. Well, I'm so above you, and it's plain to see, but I can't. That's where, like, you're on your bar chord shape. One shape, sliding up the neck. Creep by Radiohead. Okay, there's one change there, but again, you're around the neck. And the chords last a nice length. And then, what you want to do after that then, Craig, is you want to keep going with everything else you're learning. And that's the last thing I'll say here is bar chords, if you don't have too many of them yet, it's about getting that first shape. It's not about trying a ton of shapes and linking between them and everything. And that's where the G major bar chord comes in the handiest, right? Get the G major, then get the B minor, okay? Hope that helps. If you've already done all that and you've follow-up questions, join the free community and drop me a DM, all right? I'd be glad to help. Okay, and you'll find that at theschoolofguitar.com/free. That's the address. All right, folks, I'm going to hop down to this chat and see what we got. How are we all holding up? Just clarify, yes, it is one song for the open mic. Oh, I said I'd share some tips. Okay, as well. Let's do that there. If we have time. If not, I'll just do a video. Very vet-themed chat this evening. What happened to soccer? Okay. My first impression. Fair enough. Okay, welcome in, Brian. How are you doing? Okay, question from Dan. 12 bar blues, is it intermediate to learn or would it be beginner friendly? Like, the blur between beginner and intermediate is a real thing. You know, there's so many things. Like, if you lean too heavily into beginner or some area of beginner in the beginning, you can become intermediate at it quite fast and then still be beginner to other stuff. So I'll zoom out. 12 bar blues. So the first thing would be to determine, like, what's the learning outcome, what's the objective? And the objective with this would be to get used to the 12 bar blues format. So for that reason, I wouldn't go learning licks, I wouldn't go learning power chords or blues shuffles or anything like that. I would just simply get the open chords into a 12 bar blues progression. And how that goes is you have 3 chords, and I'll pick A, D, and E for this example. You have A, that's chord 1 we'll call it. D is chord 4, chord 1 again, then chord 5 would be E. Okay, so how it'll go like this, I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. So A, 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 then to chord 4, D, D, back to 1, A, A. Now we go 5, 4, 1, 5. That last bit is the turnaround. That's the third line out of the 12 bar blues. The first bar was all chord 1. The second line was 2 bars of chord 4, 2 bars of chord 1. The third line is the busiest. You've chord 5, chord 4, chord 1, chord 5. In general, that last line varies the most between blues songs. Now, the reason I'm saying, and I know, I get that, you might be going, that didn't sound like the blues at all. It didn't, but the chord progression was blues based. But where you go after that then is, if you can drill that into your hands and into your head, when you get into stuff like this, that's chord 4. You begin to remember all the times you played. All your open chord time, you begin to start to hear that unconsciously in your head as you play the blues riff sort of stuff with it. Because my concern would be that if you don't do even a bit of the open chord stuff, getting those chords in that order, that when you get to the blues stuff, it just seems like a ton of tab and a ton of playing. But if you can put them into those little compartments. Johnny Be Good, being another good one. Hound Dog by Elvis, a lot of old Elvis stuff would work. All right, I'd say go for it, you know what I mean? It's like just a case of just a case of dipping into it, you know. Because when you're learning at home, like I learned the blues because I had to. Some blues thing came up at school and we had to play blues. Didn't plan to, but I did. You know what I mean? So to reverse engineer those scenarios for yourself. Good question. Just want something. It comes with auto pitch as well, Declan. Yeah, I think I said that already. But yeah, the auto pitch is funny because or auto tune. Yeah, when you sing, you'll feel the wobble of the thing trying to pull the note. Yeah, but with the singing, like I'm not a singing teacher, but like when it comes to the singing, one thing to remember is that it's a practice. Like we often say, I can't sing, or I'm a bad singer, or I'm not a strong singer, but it can be countered with the question, not how much have you sang, because we've all sang a good lot, but how much have you practiced singing? And that's where I understand that, like going for singing lessons and getting into the world of singing seems really strange. But even if you took a scale and you just sang that scale a ton, you're training your vocal cords to be going up and down the scale, you know. Alrighty. That's mad, Brian. Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't know there was a code on Ultimate Guitar. Okay, the intro and the outro. Yeah, so it won't be tonight. Yeah, so that would be basically just saying to you to play that riff again at the end. All right. Question from Trace here around those intros. Do they have to be riff intros? No, they don't. They can totally be open chord intros. The reason I like the riff thing is just they're punchy, like that, and it's kind of to alleviate some boredom myself as I'm doing intros rather than stay on G. But by the way, like, you know, if I did do an intro for Traveling Soldier, like, I couldn't be banging that out at the start, it would ruin the song, you know, so like, summer's coming home today, that would still work, you know. So, but the key thing is to have variations so that by the time you start introducing your songs, that people won't always go, oh, it's the last line. They do the last line, then they do the song. Alrighty, cool, Chris, that's class. Alright, we got an improv question from John. John, how are you doing? Okay, welcome along. Playing guitar for a while, but I want to get into improv with zero knowledge. Where should I start and where do I go with it? Okay, so improv. When it comes to improv, there's any place you can go with it, like with respect to, like, let's just say I want to start using words. I want to start using words to improvise stuff. And it's like, what stuff? What's the outcome here? So that would be one thing to get clearer on. Like improv, is it for soloing? So let's just say it's for soloing. And with that, what you want to do is you want to build up your vocab and your grammar on the fretboard. And to do that, basically, I would say learn the A minor pentatonic scale, this one. Okay, and even if you want to just learn it from this octave here, right? And what you do with it, John, is first of all, like learning, like it reminds me of language in school, like when we used to learn like je suis, tu es, il est, elle est, like we used to drill the grammar stuff. And then the teacher would go, how do you say we or whatever? And then you'd be going down to the list going, oh, nous avons. And you'd basically like use that. Now, with this, don't skip this stage. Drill these like a mad person. And you don't need to learn all the scales. The outcome is improv, so learn a couple of notes. And then what you want to do is start testing yourself on breaking the notes apart. So like just, and this is where your improv skills will be directly related to how much time you spend making bad improv, and by the way, if we use improv comedy, actually, if we use improv comedy as an example, like improv comedians are often given very short sets because they're testing out their set. And they often tell the same joke many different ways in many different locations as they hone the joke. But a lot of times they bomb, like, you know, like they won't be funny, or it won't land, or they'll go too far or too little or too safe. And like that, you, from sitting where you are, you won't need to go to crowds, but like, take that and then be like, do, 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 do. I would say spend an hour just sitting down with those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes. And on those notes, if you sing, play them, sing them, and then start singing stuff. Da, 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 da. Start making up little melodies, because if you can sing them and then start playing them, you're going to break yourself out of the going, I need to go fast, I need to use patterns, I need to make it look fast or look cool. Like you're in the improv, in the creativity of it. And then what I'd do is I would remember that you're not meant to be like insanely good at improv over a long time horizon. Like I used to improvise over stuff, and after 3 minutes go, man, this is sounding crap. Of course, it's meant to sound crap because I've been 3 minutes making stuff up. Like it's you got to take a break. And with what you make up, you're only comparing your improv to how you were last month. You're not comparing it with how Slash improvises, John Mayer improvises, Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page improvises, because we only ever heard their like 8th book sort of thing, because we didn't see them behind closed doors sounding crap, making all the mistakes to get good, you know? So that's what I'd say, John. Take that skill and basically start playing around with it, making stuff up, spend a ton of time at it, and remember that the process is your practice reward. Because you'll play the notes and you'll go, but I can already play the notes. But the improv will be like, stay longer on notes, pause notes, play 2 notes together, skip notes, combine stuff up, sing notes. And then you'd look up an A minor backing track and you'd play what you're making up over that backing track for very small chunks of time, like 30 seconds and stop, you know, unless you're practicing. Because like we said, it would reach a point. But great question. I hope that helps. Okay. Even the open chords, that's good. Thanks, Dan. Coleman. Oh, cool. You're welcome. Welcome in, Coleman. Alrighty, improv with cream, I see. Okay, so, right. Okay, so that's questions. Now, I am going to go for another 5 to 10 on open mic. If you gotta go, that's cool, but the camera's rolling. I'm gonna go about our virtual open mic next week. Class, John, you're welcome. Okay, class. Yeah, just get down to it. I swear to God, like, improv was, I found that the toughest on guitar when I started. I didn't start to improvise until I could already play like fast Eddie Van Halen Slash stuff. So it felt like I was gone back to square one on guitar. And it was really frustrating. So just remember, it's the process of just making stuff up and getting better at it. Got fun after a while though. Now, if you are preparing for a virtual open mic, here are a few pointers. So the thing to remember is to decide early on what song you're going to play and to get down to practicing it, right? That is much more beneficial than spending a couple of days wandering between songs and then leaving yourself too tight a time frame to get the thing, you know? So with that, what you want to watch out for, with the open mic, pick your song. And now, in case we've clashes, I am going to set up a list where tomorrow, where I'll get a list of what song you're each going to do. And look, we'll try and be fair on everyone. If there's a song that like two of you pick and maybe one of you could really do a different song, we'll encourage that, just because I know it could be different if somebody only has one song. All right, that's the first thing. Get the song choice done. Second thing is, practice playing it at the time of evening the open mic will be on. So just so that you're aware of how it feels in the body to be tired after a day's work and still play your song or whatever. Next thing is, try and recreate the environment as much as possible, right? An example being, if you have Zoom on your computer, open up your Zoom, hit start meeting on your own Zoom. There's nobody coming to the meeting, but now you're seated with your guitar, and if you do this a couple of days out from it, you've started a meeting, so you're going to see yourself on the screen. You're going to like see Zoom on the screen, and you're going to play. And that means that, like, it was the story of Michael Phelps for his Olympics. It's in a book on habit, The Power of Habit, I think, that he lived the same morning, I don't know how many years in a row, and it was the morning of his Olympics final. Get up at that time, same breakfast, put on clothes the same way, go swim, like the morning was engineered. So when the morning of the Olympics came, it was no different than the mornings he'd done. Like, I don't know, I just think that's a very understated thing, like. But for you, with your open mic, like, set up Zoom and just make it a normal thing for the next few days, going, sure, I'm on Zoom. And then the next evening, yeah, okay, I'll be the one firing up the Zoom, but like, you'll be sitting in front of the computer, in your chair, playing the song, and there'll be more there, that's okay. But yeah, so that could help. Then the other thing is, that's the song, that's the performance. The other thing then is the breathing exercises. So I post a video of how to handle nerves, how to manage nerves inside the community. There's 3 separate ways you can go about managing nerves in the body leading up to a performance. Long story short, just take longer exhales. Out like that. And just breathe like that, you know. That's the other thing. The other thing to remind yourself as well is, like, mistakes are normal. They are normal. Like, I've messed up playing gigs, and I still do. I messed up the last gig. There's no such thing as a perfect gig. You know, you can play a song pretty well from start to finish, but to do a whole gig, rarely it happens. So just be prepared that if you do make a mistake, it's okay. It's okay. And then the other thing is, if you have this info, like, take a pen and paper and write down everywhere else that you've already played guitar for people. And that could be with your partner, with your friend, with your pet, with whoever. Like, just start making lists to go, geez, I've already played like quite an amount, and this is just another time, you know. And then on the flip side, if you're watching this going, damn, I don't have any of those times. Every person who can make a list had their first time, and this could be your first time. And the thing with that is, ask in the community, and I'll start a thread if nobody does, like, or somebody please start a thread, somebody, okay, one person, if you see it made, leave it at that. Start a thread about, like, what was the biggest tip for somebody playing their first open mic, right? Somebody can start that post, that'll be brilliant. Because I know a few of you have played open mics, and I'll add some tips as well. That's the thing, just pick the song, drill it, and you kind of want to be bored of playing it by the time you play the open mic. Like, that's kind of the vibe. And then the other thing is, you'll know you'll get to play that song because we'll have that arranged, so there'll be no worries that you'll have to flip song. And then the breathing exercises, the visualization, if you can, play in front of people at home, or play in front of somebody, or hey, you could even phone a friend and say, listen, I'm playing an open mic, is it okay if I, like, play a song in front of you over WhatsApp here just for 5 minutes, you know? Or record a video of yourself playing in front of the community, something similar. So you're kind of getting used to it, all right? And that's about it, okay? Okay, I'm gonna cut it there. Anybody have any questions? Any questions in the world? Any follow-up questions? Let's see. Delhi. Okay, John, saw your comment there. Thanks for Delhi. I've hit approve. There you go. Have a look around. Okay. Right. Okay, folks, and you're finding lots of tunes with that C major scale. That's class. Yeah, it's used everywhere, like, you know. And the singing of it is so cool. And the ear training is much more mysterious. Oh yeah, just Trace just said, you know, John joined the free one. We'll see now. We'll see what he makes the free one. The free one, John, just reach out to me if you have a question. There's tons of free stuff in there, right? All the crew here are in the paid one, just so you know, in case you're going, where's all this crew? Alrighty. I think that's about it. I'm gonna leave that there. Okay, thanks many for watching. The replay will be up here on YouTube after. And yeah, so the crew might see in the community later on. And we've the end of our fingerpicking journey this week. Sad face. We've come to the end just to this chapter. But we will get into more advanced stuff again, but we're going to start finding the songs for this. And then our strumming and our alternate picking have been set in motion. And Song of the Month is going to be up for vote again. Man, plenty on. All right. We'll see you soon. All right. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.